I'm Paul.
I'm Devin.
Together, we're Dads and Dice, two new dads who like to play some games during our free time.
That's right, and today we are reviewing Verdant by Flat Out Games and AEG. In Verdant, you take on the role of houseplant enthusiast, collecting and competing to make the coziest home with the most verdancy. Verdant is a drafting game where we are going to be drafting rooms and plants to create a 5x3 grid and ultimately try and make the most verdancy on the plants to score victory points. On each turn, you will either draft a plant or a room and the associated tile with it. So when you make your 5x3 grid, each room must be alternating plants, rooms, and you're going to be trying to line up rooms that have different lights thrown about each side with plants that require different amounts of lights. And each time you make a match, you get verdancy on that plant. Each plant has a set amount of verdancy it requires. I think they range from 3 to 9. And once you have completed that, you get to pot your plant, and it is worth victory points at the end of the game. The tiles that you draft can do kind of all sorts of things. There are colored tiles that if you match the color to the room's color, then it doubles the points in the room. There's also a set collection mechanic there where if you collect all 8 of a set or anywhere from 1 to 8 of the set is worth an amount of victory points at the end of the game. Or you have the green tiles, which are the watering can, the fertilizer, and the hand trowel, and each of those function differently to instantly place verdancy on there. So you do something like the fertilizer where you just put 3 verdancy on one plant. The hand trowel, you put 3 verdancy across 3 different plants. Or the watering can, probably my personal favorite, where you pick one room and every plant connected to that room gets verdancy. You're going to start the game with exactly 2 cards, 1 plant and 1 room card, and you're going to play exactly 13 turns. After 13 turns, everybody has now drafted 15 cards, and you add up victory points there. The victory points will come from verdancy, from that set collection, from the rooms having the plants that they want in them, having an assortment of each plant type, having an assortment of each room type, and then possibly some extra little bonus score objectives if you're playing the more advanced mode. And really, that's all there is to the game.
Yeah, this game comes from the same family line of games like Cascadia and Calico. They're all family weight games. They're really easy to get to the table. They're really easy to teach. And honestly, they're just a good, easy, fun, quick game to play. Games are going to last about 30 to 45 minutes. Like I mentioned, you can get a new gamer to the table and teach them the game within 10 minutes and then be playing. The cool thing about this is that there's we'll call it a family game, where it's just the basic scoring. As you get more comfortable with the game, you can start adding the different objectives in there that give you more scoring opportunities. So there's a good way to kind of increase that replayability of the game.
Yeah, and as Paul mentioned, it's honestly, it kind of even goes even more in depth in that family game. It's like kind of stripped down version for kids where it's just playing out really the cards, and then you can step it up and you do really what would be the base game that I kind of explained, and then you can even step it up one more and play with the advanced scoring cards, and there's A, B's, and C's, and it makes it more competitive there. So it's really kind of neat that they have all that in one game.
Yeah, and if you're familiar with Cascadia or Calico, I know in Cascadia there's the family scoring cards that just make it easier. So it's just really cool that they offer that scalability. And with the holidays coming around, it's a good game that you can bring that is not going to be too complicated for the non-heavy gamers, but you're still going to have a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah, I think Paul hit on this, right? But you can get this game out and taught and start playing in probably under 10 minutes time. I mean, the setup of it is virtually nothing. It's getting all the components out. However many players you have dictates the stack of pots, and really that's it. I leave everything in the bag itself, the tiles, and so you just lay those out, shuffle up the cards, and play. And so it really, I think, has enough in it for me to play with relatives that don't typically play games, and for me to still also be having a good time. I think sometimes you get those family games where the actual board gamers are bored, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that about this one. It has enough in there for me to enjoy and be engaged, even though my cousin over here, who's never played a game, he also is able to play it.
Now, let's talk about probably what drives most people towards this game. It's the artwork, the components, just everything about it. We've mentioned her name several times, Beth Sobel. She's the artist that did Verdant. She's the artist that did Cascadia, that's done Viticulture, that's done Herbaceous. Just all these games that just have phenomenal art. And honestly, on the cards, you can just see there, you've got all the different types of plants on here, and they're all just really aesthetically pleasing. This is a game that I could see coming home to and just, pulling it out and really just wanting to relax and just play the game. The pots, they're different types of pots. You have your terracotta ones, you have the ceramic ones that are just different sizes. So just everything about it is really aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Getting over to the component quality side of things, I think that's where this game is lacking. These are maybe one of the worst sets of cards that I've ever handled and played with. They stick together. It's kind of a
They've got like a weird dull kind of feeling.
I don't know. It's something about the cardboard that they used is not great. I mean, you can't, I won't say much with punch-out tokens. Punch-out tokens are what they are. And they did throw in these little verdancy, nice little leafly pieces. So at least it's got something there. But man, what they missed on the biggest component, which is the cards, I don't know. It's just something about them. It does not feel great.
It's a bit disappointing, honestly. Like you said, it's the biggest part of the game, and it's the biggest ball that they dropped.
Yeah. They have this phenomenal art on it, and then the card itself is just, it's lacking in quality.
But, they do have the little bag that's Verdant, and I think that's something that you'd kind of come to expect with this style of game. And like Devin said, the little leaves on the verdancy are pretty cool. They did throw in some different colored thumbs, so they're branching out there. So that's really cool to see in the board games that they're producing.
We'll move over to kind of, I guess, the strategy aspect of the game. It's on the lighter side of games for sure. As we mentioned, you can play this with your family, even really not the family game, but the base game. You could play this with just about anybody. It doesn't have really all that hard of scoring. I'll say the nice plus thing about it, almost everything you do, you're going to be scoring something, which makes people feel good, right?
Especially those non-gamers.
Yeah, whether they decide to go in on the set collection, or they go for a specific type of room and plant combo, or they try and max out verdancy. There's kind of several different paths that you can go down. I will say, I probably believe that the most strategic person at the table is almost always certainly going to take home the cake, right? Which is not a bad thing. I like that in games. I want to play against strategic people, and I want to try and come out ahead. But I don't think anybody's going to have a bad time. They're all going to be within a, let's call it a 10 or 15 point range, around 100 points or so. And so everybody's going to have fun doing that.
Yeah, and, a couple playthroughs that we've played, you've kind of focused on the light sources, right? Lining up, this card needs the full sun, the partial sun, the no sun. And then I've kind of gone on the set collection side of it, of trying to match up all the tiles with the rooms. And even going those separate ways, we've been, like you mentioned, within 10 points at the most. So I think that is the sign of a good game, that you can go so many different ways and still be relatively close to each other at the end of it.
So this was our review of Verdant. I actually got this game because I knew that in our gaming group of me, Paul, and our wives, they're all drawn to theme way more than I am, and it would just be a fun one for us to get out. My wife loves houseplants. She loves killing houseplants, so this is one where she can let them grow and thrive, right? And so I think it does that really well. It is really good for the type of game it is, for the weight that it is.
And it's going to play awesome after you play one of those really heavy strategics games where you just need a little bit of a break for your brain. It's going to fit that spot perfectly.
So yeah, that is all we have. We really do appreciate it, as always, for y'all watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all those things. They really do help us. That's all we have. We'll see you on the next one. Collecting and competing to... Dang you, Rex. I was on a flow.
You were.
We are going to be reviewing... I was about to say AEG.
We're reviewing the whole company.